Myself Vaibhav. In today's session of Visual Jforex, I will be continuing with the algorithm development demonstration with the indicator named minimum maximum. This is the third part, and in today's session, I will be try to complete on the sell side setup. So let us now head to the Visual Jforex board, where so far I have added the instrument subscription requirement, and then the position amount was defined at 0. I have also got these four min-max blocks to look at the volatility for the underlying instrument. In this case, we are working with the USD JPY, and then to look at the immediate price action, the historical candle blocks have already been taken into account. These 10-second candles are there to look at the immediate price action for pinpointing the entry point for the execution of the trade. In prior session, I had also defined these five calculation expression block to help us with defining of the condition which are needed to be fulfilled before the execution of the trade. And then I have also built this if-else structure to set the conditions for the execution of the buy side. Now in today's session, we will be working with the sell side requirement. So for that, I will have to take you to the chart to see how the sell side is going to be defined. This is the USD JPY chart, and for sell side, we need the minimum values to be declining. The minimum values should be going lower, but not too lower. We need certain conditions to be in place. So one of the condition is that the minimum value with the shift one, that is last candle close minimum value, needs to be lower compared to the minimum value prior to that, but it shouldn't be lower than the minimum value 6 hours back. So now here the time is 13:30 GMT, so we will have to go back 6 hours in time and see if this value is lower than that. If it is, then no execution of the new trade will happen, and as is the case here, it is indeed lower, so no new trade will be initiated. So somewhere like this, I think the trade might be initiated. As you can see, the minimum value is lower compared to the prior minimum value, but higher or equals to, it is higher here compared to the minimum value 6 hours back. We have also set the condition that the uh, minimum value with shift value of 2 should be less than not less than, sorry, actually greater than or equals to the minimum value with a shift value of 5, that is 1 hour 15 minute back, and make sure these conditions are in place. We will have to define the if else statements using these conditions. So now we head to the Visual Jforex board. We have also defined certain condition in terms of price volatility, so there should be enough of volatility. For that, we have defined that the price difference, the closing difference between the historical candles of shift value 1 and 5 should be more than 7 pips. For the sell side, we will need the closing value of the immediate candle to be lower by more than 7 pips compared to the the closing value of candle 19, and it also needs to be within the price band. So upper limit is 15 pips, and it needs to be within that. So the price difference between these two closing values should be within 7 to 15 pips. So we have the price band of around 8 pips. Then the candle 17's opening and the closing difference should be at least 3 pips. That means there should be enough of price momentum, and to make sure that is the case, we have defined this condition. So in today's session, I will need to look at the differences of the closing values, and for that I will have to take into consideration the calculation expression block. and there is a calculation expression which we will use to look at the difference of the opening value and the closing value for candle 17, and its closing value needs to be lower than the opening value. For that I will do the subtraction. Auto created variable candle 17, candle open and close. Here it should be A1 minus A2, and this will be sell side difference. Okay, I will disconnect it and join it here. And now we will also need to look at the price difference between the closing values of candle 17 and candle 19. And in this case we need candle 17 to have closed lower compared to candle 19, and so we will take candle 19's closing value. Here this candle 17, first candle 19's closing value, and we will deduct candle 17's closing value, and the difference needs to be more than 7 pips and less than 15 pips. Then A1 minus A2 sale actual difference, and to define the stop loss and target price, in prior session I had joined this open at market block, but I had left the defining of the stop loss and take profit for this session. So in today's session I will also carry out that calculation. So we take two more calculation expressions, and this is going to be dynamic. So for that I will have to define the buy side as well as sell side stop loss and target price differently. So in today's session we first define the stop loss and target price for the buy side, and for that we will have to look at the actual difference is OCD, and this is going to be equal to stop loss, and take profit is going to be twice of this. So here I create a new variable. Since USD JPY has peak value in 2 decimals, so we will need to take 100 10 raised to the power 2 pip conversion factor to bring the double data type to the integer format. Okay, this is going to be A1 into A2, and here we will create a new variable named SL buy side, and its value will be derived from this calculation. Profit is going to be double. All we have to do is take OCD ECF and a new variable, target price conversion factor, which will be 2, and this calculation will be A1 into A2 into A3. Profit buy side. Here also I will have to define the variable in integer format, integer data type. Take profit buy side, and its value will be derived using this calculation. So here we are done with the defining of the stop loss and take profit for the buy side. Now we head back to the defining of stop loss and take profit for the sell side, and two more calculation expressions will be required for that. Okay, here we will have to look at the actual sell side difference, SAD, take the pip conversion factor and carry out same A1 into A2, and in this case SAD, PCF and TPCF, A1 into A2 into A3, and these output values we will define once we get the sell side done and add the market at open at market block. So for the time being we will leave as it is and start to take the if else statement. We need the last 15 minutes minimum value to be lower, but it needs to be greater compared to the minimum value 6 hours back. So here minimum with shift value 1 needs to be less than the minimum value with shift 2. So it should be first input less than second input, but minimum 10 needs to be greater than minimum 16, and okay, greater than or equals to. Then we also want the minimum 14, which has shift value of 2, to be greater than or equals to minimum 15. So here we have defined it needs to be greater or equals to. Min-max conditions have been defined. Now we have to look at the price action, and for that I will have to compare the newly derived values. This sell side actual difference needs to be more than 7 pips. Again, sell side actual difference needs to be less than the upper limit. First input less than second input, and the last 15 minutes candle open and candle close difference needs to be more than 3 pips, which is minimum condition. This needs to be greater, and then comes the point of the execution, and we need the candle 20 and 21 closing values to be near the candle 17, and candle 21's closing value needs to be higher than candle 17's closing value. So we will have to take candle 17's closing in second variable as a second variable, and then candle 20 and 21's values respectively. This close needs to be higher, first input greater than second input, and 20's closing value needs to be lower. And then comes trading component, open at market, sell side, okay, and for this we will have to use the values which we have defined here. Lot size, I think 0.1 million should be good enough. Slippage of 2 pips. Stop loss and target price, we will create new variables as well as this will be a profit sell side, and for both these we have done the calculations, and these values will be derived from these calculations. So we are here done with the setup. So now we are almost means actually done with the sell side. So we will need to arrange these blocks and join it to the multiple action. So here we are done with the sell side, and now we also have to make sure that this is symmetrical, both the buy sides and the sell side. And yes, if you look at the number of if statements and then open at market, it is indeed symmetrical. We need to join the flow, and here we are done with the whole algorithm. Both the buy side as well as sell sides have been defined. So I hope you have been able to understand how we can design and develop the functional algorithm using these min-max indicator to take advantage of the breakout as and when happens in the instrument of our choice. So here I am done with the session. I thank you all for joining in. Do subscribe to the Dukascopy webinar channel, and you can leave your ideas or queries in the feedback section. I will be more than happy to take the discussion forward. See you next time. Goodbye.